Hello everyone, welcome back to the EMDR Doctor podcast and welcome to 2026. Another year, another opportunity to set some bright, shiny goals for the next 365 days. Well, I am a little bit late to the New Year resolution type of style podcast, but you'll probably be glad to hear that I'm not doing an episode on setting goals or New Year's resolutions. So I'm going back to basics. I'm starting the year at the beginning and starting my podcast for this year with the basic question, what is EMDR and how does it work? And why do so many people who have done so many years of therapy suddenly find that they have fast-tracked their recovery with EMDR? If you are new to EMDR, you may find it a completely baffling experience, this idea of the therapist, waving their fingers or their pointer in front of you and just allowing your brain to go wherever it wants to go. So the actual name, EMDR, stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and it's actually a little bit of a misnomer. We don't always use eye movements. We may use tapping, or bilateral audio, or buzzies. And we don't really desensitize the memory, although we do take the pain away from the memory, but it's not like exposure therapy that aims to just simply desensitize it by repeated or prolonged exposure. And also, it's not actually reprocessing. So we might say that the memory that we're working on hasn't been processed at all. So we are processing it for the first time. It's not actually reprocessing. So the name is kind of misleading. And we work with a basic premise that given the right circumstances, the brain will be able to resolve things. It seems that bilateral stimulation, the eye movements or the tapping, etc., the alternating left and right stimulation gives the brain the opportunity to just let go of the distress. It seems to uncouple the distress from the memory, leaving the memory as just something that happened. When the distress has gone from the memory, then we can learn something better about ourselves. We can change our negative beliefs, the beliefs that we formulated at the time when that bad thing was happening. We can change those negative beliefs to something more positive, something more adaptive, something that serves us better in the future. And this isn't actually a deliberate thing. So this just evolves as the EMDR process evolves. We're not forcing ourselves to think positively. It's just our brain's natural reaction. If we take away the difficult emotions, then we are somehow able to sort of self-correct. We naturally know something about ourselves, something that's better and more helpful. So if, for example, the memory was a scary one, and we came to believe that the world is not safe at that moment after that event, when we process that memory using EMDR and the fear evaporates, the fear is the emotion that's held with that memory. If the fear evaporates, then we can know that we are safe. We can decide who to trust. We can know that we can stick up for ourselves and that we have agency or something similar, something positive. So many people come to EMDR after having done lots of talk therapy. So they understand the memory from a cognitive or a thinking point of view. They know what they should be thinking. They just can't make that happen. And this is because the emotion is still connected to the memory. And the body sensations are still part of that memory. They're also still connected. So there's no room for the positive beliefs. So trauma doesn't live primarily in words or in insight. It lives in the nervous system. It lives in our body. So with EMDR, when we uncouple the emotions and the body sensations from the memory, then there's room for positive beliefs, and those beliefs just naturally become real and they become believable. So memories aren't just about thoughts. They are held with emotions, with body sensations in the nervous system, and when we involve all of those elements in the memory reprocessing, then we can shift the distress really rapidly and thoroughly, and the memories lose their emotional charge. And beliefs can shift from, for example, I'm not safe, to, yeah, that happened, that was bad, and I survived. And the body starts to respond to the present when there is no bad things happening, not responding to the past. So EMDR can feel very different from traditional talk therapy. You don't need to analyze, it just all happens naturally. You don't need to explain. There's very little talking that happens within EMDR processing. Usually the person is just processing, the therapist is there to help the person do that, but it's not so much a dialogue, it's the client processing that memory and then reporting back to the therapist on where they're at. So you don't need to tell every detail. So EMDR is just naturally a more private experience, which is really helpful sometimes for those very shame-based memories. So for memories where there's embarrassment or mortification, when you feel mortified, if you think about that memory, or if there's a lot of shame associated with a memory, EMDR is great for that because you're not actually talking about it to the therapist. You're not revealing all of those very intimate, very personal details. So you do need to be brave enough to go towards that memory and to allow your brain to work through it, allowing the emotions and the body sensations alongside the memory. So I hope that's given you a little bit of a sense of what EMDR does. So in the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be going through a bit of a series of EMDR for sadness, EMDR for anger, for fear, and for shame. So that's my next little plan for the next month. So I hope you can join me for those. In the meantime, please know if you've done the insight work and you still feel stuck, it doesn't mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean that that's the end of the road for therapy. EMDR is amazing at getting things unstuck. If you're stuck, it just might be that your nervous system just needs another kind of help. EMDR might be that for you. I hope you can join me next week. In the meantime, take good care. Bye for now.